Hello everyone, sorry I'm a minute or two late. I'm just getting myself sat down and I'll get my phone set up as well. So hi, it's the 20th, Friday the 20th of March, and welcome to Crafting with Dawn Bibby. I'm Angela and we're going to be doing some work with aqua markers this morning. So just so I can say hello to you and make sure you're all in and the group is on. There we go. Just going to pop it on now and then I should be able to see all the comments coming up. And good morning, Margaret, nice to see you. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully we've got some nice things to look at today. I've got the aqua markers ready, which my phone's not on the way, and I can't believe I did this last night. I'm not an artist, but do you know what? I'm really pleased with that. That's just with the aqua markers. I think mini art is probably my thing because I'm quite intimidated by watercolours normally, because I think it's got to be a big sheet of paper. But actually I've had a little go there and I'm quite chuffed with that. So I'm going to pop that there to remind me that I can do things even when I don't think I can. Oh, thank you, Margaret. I'm quite pleased with it, really. It's just a very simple little scene. Now, whilst we're waiting for anybody else to join us, I know it's a work day and a work time, so we might not get as many people on the live, but hello to anybody who joins later on catch up and takes time out to watch the live. I'm going to just put a little tag together while we're sitting. So I found a little tag and stuck a bit of extra ribbon on in my stash. I've done a little bit of stenciling on some of this linen cardstock that we have loads of, and Dawn has got that on her live tomorrow. I'm not going to stick it down because what I actually decided I needed to do was do some layers first. So this is a little bit of watercolour stock that I've just stuck two bits together, so I don't like wasting anything. Looks as if it's just me and you, Margaret. Oh, there's Sarah joining. Hi Sarah, sorry I probably confused you when I was on Dawn's live the other night. I think I said I'm on tomorrow, which would have been yesterday, when in fact I'm actually on this morning. So hi Sarah, thank you for joining us. And we're going to look at aqua markers today, and I've got a nice little card to make for you as well. I hope you like it. I'm just going to fiddle around for a little bit making a tag whilst we give people time to find us and join in, because I know sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to get the live going, but we'll get started fairly soon, because I have got, I've probably given myself far too much to do again. I just get carried away and excited when I'm doing my projects. So if I do not get everything finished that I have got prepared, then I will do a little extra pop-up to finish off and let you know when that'll be, because I don't want to miss any of my techniques and ideas for you. So I've just got a little bit of ribbon and lace from one of Dawn's little packs stashes. Sorry, I've got it on the wrong side, and I'm going to pop it on here. I've got a bit of red liner on the back already, so that I could just stick it straight on, and it would make it a little bit easier for us as we're doing it, because this is just my little settling in project whilst we sit. So that's the idea of my background, my main background. And then I thought I'd have a little bit of a blue panel sitting in there. Thank you for joining us, ladies. It's very nice to see you. I'm hoping everybody can manage to find the live all right. Hi Joanne, nice to see you. On holiday from work today, so typing up Wednesday orders whilst watching. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, Joanne, for joining us. I'm just making a little tag just as a little starter while I give a chance for people to join us. So I'm just sticking these little bits together, and then I'm going to get on with the live because I've got a lot to do. I've tried to be very organised today. I've got it all written down, hopefully got everything prepared, and hopefully it'll go to plan. But if there's any problems, right, so Dawn's glue, 3 seconds for it to grab, 10 seconds for it to hold. I got there before you today, Sarah, because I know you know about that. Stick that corner down. I haven't given enough glue on it. Hi, Anne-Marie Lewis. You may be watching, and I haven't got everybody who may be watching. I don't know if there's people watching who don't want to say anything. That's fine. I'm just very pleased that you're here. And anybody watching on catch up, thank you very much for taking time to watch back. There we go. And that's basically the tag. Then it would be up to you what extra embellishments you'd want to put in. So I've got a little bit of this Violet Musings that Lorraine was using the other day, and it's got some sheets just for backgrounds, some which would be good toppers because they've got the little inside, but you could put your sentiments straight into there. And it's got some die cut elements as well that you can pop out. They're already done, so you don't need to think about it. And I'm just going to pop this on the corner. I think we'll just use these, and then we'll get on with what we're doing today. I'll show you my little thing I did last night. Margaret's seen it because she was on first today. I'm just going to pop that on there. I did my rookie mistake of forgetting to cut it out before I put it on. So let me just trim that, because I know I didn't want the whole of it on, and I had marked it ready to snip. See if I can get it on all right. Yeah, I can. I haven't quite let it grab yet. There we go. Rescued at the last minute. That's just a little cutout from the corner of one of the background sheets that I've put on there. And then it's got some nice little elements that you can just pop out, which could be your toppers. So I'm going to stick that on the back of there, I think, just so that the ferns match up for the bit at the top, because this has not got any ferns on. So I want to stick that on there. And then we'll pop it on with a bit of a foam pad. So that's just me pinching the ferns from that bit. That's it. And then we'll pop it on the top with a foam pad or two. And then I'll show you my sheet and we'll get going. So I'll just pop a bit here, pop a bit there. Diddly-dee. And that's it. So there's that little topper. There you go. Good morning, Linda. Thank you for joining us. We're actually doing things with aqua markers this morning, but this was just a little quick tag that I've been making just to let people get a chance to come in. So that's the first project that we've got today. Very quick and simple, and I can either pop that on a gift or onto the front of a larger card, or it could just be in my art journal as some little topping element. So I'll pop that to one side for the minute, and we can look at that again at the end. And then I'll just show you what I did last night with my aqua markers. I didn't even know that I could do this. I'm intimidated, I think, by watercolours sometimes, because all the people who are very clever with it, there's loads of people on Facebook and YouTube that you can watch who are proper artists. I am not an artist by any means, just a keen crafter. But I was really quite pleased with that little mini watercolour that I did using the aqua markers. So we might get to that a bit later. That was actually a little extra on my list. Good morning, Sue. Thank you for joining us. We're just about to get going. I'm going to put these bits and pieces to one side that I'm not using at the minute. I have my very long list of things that we are going to do, and I may not get through all of this, therefore we shall probably do a pop-up if I don't, but I'll do my best. And we're going to start off by looking at the aqua markers. So these are Studio Light Aqua Markers, and Dawn can get these into order. £6.99 a pack, and the colours that I've got are Foliage and Rainbow and Dahlia. So Dahlia I thought would be nice for some flowers, and then obviously Foliage for flowers and such like. Rainbow because you can get loads of different colour combinations from that, and grey tones, which I think is very useful. It's sort of greys, and it's got a browny grey, a bluey grey, grey and black, and it's just really good for mixing in and doing your shadows and such like. So that's the collection that I chose. I think there was about 14 different ones altogether. So when I first get my markers, what I like to do, if I get new things, new pens, I like to do the swatches. So I have already got some swatches done here, and these are with the greens. So I've put the title on, I've swatched down, and then I've swatched again and run it out with water, and I've put the numbers on so I don't forget what they are. So we're going to do that. I've done the greens already, I've done the grey tones. You can see there's some lovely sort of brown grey, green grey and blue grey in there, so I think that's a lovely set to have to complement what you've got. And then the dahlias, you know, really lovely floral selection. We'll probably be using some of those later on, and the greys later on. So I thought what we could do to start with is just swatch out the one set that I haven't swatched, which is the rainbow set. So I can just show you what I do when I am swatching them out. Okay, so I'm just going to get them in the order that I have actually written down the side my numbers: 11, 14, 34, 46, 66, 82. So we've got to do it in this order. All right, so what I'm going to use to do my swatches, you can use a watercolour brush if you would like, just whichever kind you like. But I like using these water brushes. Again, I'm not an expert, so I quite like the fact that these help me when I'm doing my watercolour crafting. Morning, Jackie. You haven't missed anything. All we've done is made a tag to start us off, just to give people a chance to join. So made that, I'll show you later. And then I've shown you when I get my markers, I like to do swatches. So I've already done these ones, and we're just going to do the rainbow set together now, so you can see what I do when I swatch. The Spellbinders pens Dawn has in stock, the water brush sets. There's 3 different size brushes. They fill up easily with water, and then they have a little bit of a system in here that lets the water come out slowly. You don't get like a load of puddling. And then different size brushes. So I've just got the medium to start us off this morning. So I'm going to go with 11 in my little set. My brushes are going to all fly around. So the first thing I do is, I'll show you the brushes actually. So on these brushes you've got 2 ends which are clearly marked on here. The red band is the thinner end, and the non-marked side is your brush. So that's a thicker brush. Okay, so I'll just show you, if we just mark on there, that's the main colour of number 11. And I'm going to do quite quickly so that I get the water on and spread it out. So then I'll just go into the colour and then bring it out and across my page like so. There you go. So that's the first colour, number 11. Put that to the side. 14. So I'm going to go with my brush end again. I'll show you the thinner one in a minute. That's a nice orange. I'm going to go into the orange and then draw it out. There you go. So just get that grade where you can go from brighter and you can go really light. You can have just like a really faint wash, and we're going to use a very faint wash later on when we're doing the card that I've got for you this morning. Another little bit of yellow. I think I've got a bit of black on the end there from one of my projects, but that's fine. Again, going to bring this out like that. So I hope you can see that okay. I'm going to push it up a little bit to get these next ones in, so you can see past the lettering. Pop a little bit on. There we go. And the card I'm using is Dawn's watercolour cardstock. Now, she had some lovely little watercolour sketchbooks on her live last night, so I'm going to put all the links in rather than trying to say lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, because I got a bit mixed up last time. I'm going to put a post in the comments or at the end with all the products that Dawn's either got or can get that we've used today, and then you'll be able to use that list to contact Dawn on direct messenger to place any orders. But she had some lovely watercolour sketchbooks last night on a really good offer, so on a live last night. So I'll pop the link in for you there. There was 2 for £5.50, I believe, 1 for £2.99 or 2 for £5.50. This is a watercolour card pack that she had on one of her lives a little while ago. Now, if you feel as if your water's just drying up a little bit, you can just squeeze a little bit and get a bit more out. I tend to do that onto the mat or on a little bit of paper, because then you get a little bit of a puddle, and then I can get it going again like that. That's fine. So that's all the colours that we've got this morning in the rainbow section. Now I'm going to move onto the glass mat a little bit here, so you might not be able to see all of the things I'm doing, and we're just going to show you how you can mix them a little bit. So I just need a bit more room. Pop it on here. Let's go for well, we know what colours that we get. Let's go for a bit of green and a bit of blue and a bit of yellow. Sorry, my brain's lost. So I'm going to put a little bit down on my glass mat, put another little bit down on my glass mat, and then I'm going to mix them with my water brush, and we're going to get a new colour. So I'll pop that on with this green one here, and you can see we've got a brand new green from the two, from the blue and the yellow. So if I do that, I would probably put a little note on now saying blue and yellow mixed up together. And you can do that with a lot of the colours. So I'm wasting a lot of this today, sorry, by rubbing it off, just to go with a bit of speed. And again, we'll do the red, do the blue, and then it should get the idea really. And then mix them up together, and we should get, if we get a colour we don't like, let's go here. Well, that's quite a dark colour. I need a bit more in, more blue in, a bit more blue. There we go, a bit more blue again. And you can just then create a whole range of new colours. All right, so have a little play, have a little mix, and make a note of what you've mixed together when you're doing it. So that'll let you see what sort of colours you can get. But you can see there with the rainbow collection, I've just started mixing some colours, and we're getting some brand new colours from there. Okay, now one of the tips I saw from I think it was Sheena, who, you know, she's obviously a very experienced artist. Just going to clean my brush off on the end of here. There we go. The way that she did her mixing, so you could reproduce it at a later date, she would use the squares on the glass mat. So if I wanted to do two blue squares there, we'll do it 4, 2 by 2, and then I just wanted 1 square of red, put that there, 1 square of red, and then mix them together on the mat. And that makes my sort of mauve colour. It's quite a nice mauve. There you go. And the idea with where she used the squares was that hopefully you'd be able to recreate that same mix again by using the squares next time. So we'll have a go because I haven't actually done this one. Let's go. So we did 4 squares, 2 by 2 of the blue, and then we did 1 by 1 of the red, and then we mixed them. We'll just see how close I get with the colours. Be interesting to see. They look slightly different to me already, but I don't think it's too far off. Not bad. So I think it probably wanted a little bit more blue in, and then I should probably get the colour a bit closer. Well, that hasn't worked quite as I wanted it to, but I think I'm getting close to the colour by trying that method. That was just something that I've seen Sheena Douglas do, and I thought, oh well, it might be worth, you know, you get as close to the colour that you've made before and then just adjust it slightly. So that's a little bit of swatching and a little bit of colour mixing. So that's the first thing I wanted to do. Let me just see if there's anybody else to say hello to. I think we're just a little group this morning, but that's fine. Hopefully people will watch on catch up and people will be at work, or because it's a sunny day they could be out and about because I see the sun shining. Okay, so I'm just going to pop the markers back in there so I don't lose any of them, and then I'm going to go to the next part of using alcohol markers. If you have got any questions, please do ask as we're going along. So the next technique that we've already done, we did this last week, was picking up from the glass mat or using the block. And we did this for our card that we did last week, where we popped the colours on the mat or on the block. Just pop that one there. I'll pop that one there. Just in case anybody's watching who we didn't do this with. I'll turn this over, so it'll be fine. That's my demo spare. I'm going to give it a little squirt, and then I'm going to splot my card into there. Yeah, so we can pick it up that way, make a nice background. Or that's the first one. Next one, please excuse me, don't tell anybody I've just wasted that ink. On the next side, I've already got a bit of green on there, so I'll go for green again and blue, and we'll just put a little bit of colour on the block. Give it a little spritz, and then again we're just going to splatter, and then we can let that dry and do another layer of different colour, or if we're happy with it we leave it like that. So we did that last week, so I haven't spent a lot of time showing you that again, but it's quite a quick technique and it makes really effective backgrounds, so I really like doing that. And if I'm feeling like I've lost my mojo, this is the kind of thing that I like to do, because I can make lots of little backgrounds, and then when I feel like making something later I can then get back onto it and use them all up. Right, next I'm going to show you actually what I did. You'll have seen a couple of these from the last one of the last lives. So on that splodgy background I've then stamped over an image in black. This is a nice silhouette image. I think these were from Studio Light. Just pop that up there a little bit so you can see it, and it looks really effective, and that would make a lovely card. And you just want your sentiment on there and mounted onto a card. And then the other one I did, this is more like a little ATC size. That's another splattered background with those techniques, and then I've stamped over with the butterflies. So I think it looks really effective. So that's the first technique, using blocks or glass mat, or we did use the back of my little pot, and I showed you how to also, you could use cling film or plastic wrapping as well. We did that last time, so you can use different surfaces. Give it a go with a bit of bubble wrap as well. That's a nice way to do it. So that's the next one. We'll put that up there because they're things we can show at the end. Morning, Vivian. Did I see you pop on? I'm not sure if I did, but I'll say hello because I can see Margaret saying hello to you. So anybody else who's just joined, we've just been doing some swatches and some backgrounds. Next one that we're going to do with the markers is a wash. I think that looks quite good. I've just put the colours down and then I've washed over with my brush. So we can do that this morning. There we go. So pop that to the side. I'm trying to go a little bit up so you can see what I'm doing. So again, I'm going to use my blue. I'm going to pop it on the side because if I get that mark at the side there that you can see and I don't want it, I'll just chop it off when I come to use it. Or you can do it from the mat, so I'll show you a couple of ways. I've also got a nice wide brush here. It's a 3/4, so I can actually get a nice sweep with the colour. Okay, and we're just going to go in with that. I'm also going to pop a bit of water on my mat, so I've got a little bit there if I need it, and I've got my trusty rag so that if I want to take any of the water off, I can. So we'll go with the first colour. I'm going to go onto the card so you can just see how we go there, and then I'm going to get my wet brush. I'm going to dab it a little bit and then I'm going to start dragging the water out. Sorry, dragging the colour out over there. There we go. A little clean on that brush, ready for the next colour. That's the first one. We'll go for the purple next. And I think I'll also pop a bit of pink on from one of my other packs. That'd be nice. A bit of pink. I'll get my big brush again, and my water, and I'll start dragging it out. And then also a bit of mixing. I'll need my water for this one just because it's to get it to drag and to get it to mix. And I'm going in between the two there to try to get the colours to just sort of blend a bit, so it's going to look a little bit like a sunset on there. Yeah. I'm going to give that brush another little clean because I'm going to go in with yellow now, and that's a little bit lighter. And we'll go in with a nice yellow colour. Pop a yellow down, pop a green down. There we go. And then again, get my brush nice and wet, and we can just drag it out. There's the water gone. Spread a bit of water on your mat. You could have a pot of water, it would probably help. There we go. And then just get that green to come out as well. There we go. And then we just let that dry. And then you've got a lovely sort of sunset background that I made, and then just chop that little section off the side. If you don't want to get that, you can quite happily just got another one here, hang on, I'll just pop it over, I'll stick it on the mat. There's a bit of green, there's a bit of blue. Pop it on the mat, get my wet brush, go into there, do it straight on. I'm hoping that you can see that all right. So you don't have to get that line at the side. And just get the water to help it move. So it gives you like a really nice wash. And that's a nice background to do, just, you know, nice easy background is doing a wash and then getting those colours to mix and merge. Yeah. So hopefully you can see that's blending in now as I've added a bit more water. Is that all right? Any questions about that technique? And I'll lift them up a little bit just in case you can't see very well for the lighting today. The sun has been out, but it's not shining in my room. Maybe I might turn my little lamp on and you might see a little bit better. Let's have a go. Hang on. I've got a little light. I don't know whether it'll brighten it up a little bit just while we're here. There you go. So that's a really nice wash technique there. Creates a lovely rainbow effect, or just the blues and greens, anything you like. So that's the next technique, and I'm just going to show you something I made with it in a minute. If I can find it, or we'll have a little look. I'll find it. I made something with that technique, but we'll get on to that. Now the next one, we're going to make something really bright and bold with this one. So that's another really lovely background. And again, these little bits and pieces I'll show you later on how I've used them in a card. So at the minute I'm just going through ideas about how to make the backgrounds and use it. There. So we're going to do this one. So this one, I've got the card and I'm just going to do some scribbles around the place. Not going to do anything special. Let's put some of that on. Let's put a bit of purple on. I think a bit of blue probably go quite nicely with it. These are all nice colours that go together. There we go. And then I'm just going to spray. I'm going to use my big Spellbinders one for this one. I'll get quite a lot of water out on this and make quite a lot of mess. Let me pop a little bit of extra watercolour paper behind, and then if we get anything spilling over, I'll catch it on there. And then I'm just going to spray, and you can see the magic start to happen. So those bright colours are starting to mix and merge, and you can put as much or as little water on as you want, depending on the effect that you want to get. So I would now leave that to dry as it is, and then if I want to add any other colours in later, I could. I've done this one with a bit of green and yellow on the edges as well, so I could do that. I'll probably do that later. If I do too much all at once, you end up with sort of everything merging together and you get a bit of a brown. You can tip it up and get some nice effects as well. So look at that. So tip it sideways and we get a nice effect. You can still see some of the colour in the background on that, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'll probably just layer it up again with another colour later. That's what I would do. Also, if you want to speed things up a little bit, get your heat gun. So just plug mine in. I prefer to let them, sorry, hang on, just plugging in. I prefer to let them dry on their own and just get the effect like that. And then I'd go back over again with any other colours or layers. So as you know, well, you might realise with watercolour it tends to sort of then dry a bit paler. You can force dry with your heat gun, but you'll see the water can sort of move around a bit and it changes the pattern. So I don't know if you can see that, but you could see the water moving as I was doing it, and I think you could actually use that if you wanted that particular effect specifically, or just wait till it dries. Put that over to the side again. We don't need that one. What I'm going to do is actually tip it off there because it's really, really wet. See if it's dried by the end. Pop it behind me. This bit that I've used up, I don't like to waste it. Let's just mix them in a little bit so that I don't drip it on the floor. And it's a good idea having that little bit behind you and a brush, and then you can just use that again later on, another little background. If you want to fold it over like we used to do with the butterflies when we were little, I'll do that. Oh my, can put a little bit of extra bits in. And really, with these markers, just play. I can go straight into that wet and I can get some nice effects there as well. See? It's just all playtime. That's what I like about these kind of things. Just have a play and see what happens. This is not planned. This is just me playing. Brilliant. So there we go. So a little bit of playing, and that's a little bit of a wet one. So I'm going to pop that underneath, out the way for now. Okay, so that technique was colour splodges directly onto the card and then spritzing with water. And Dawn does have mini spritzers available. I'm not sure if they're sort of this size. That's full of ink, so they might be a little bit smaller, the mini ones. And she has the Spellbinder big ones as well, which are really good. And I haven't had to fill that up because it's just been full up all the time. So that's the finished product there. And I've got some lovely projects again to show you with that, to see how you can use it. Moving on to that. So any questions so far? Everybody all right? Lovely. So we're going to do a little bit more colouring. I'm going to pop my rainbow ones away for now. Those all in there. Probably going to get a little pencil case for them all, which is why when I did the swatches I put the numbers along, so I can always go back and find them again when I put them in a pencil case. So I'm going to go and use the dahlias now just to do some colouring and stamping and such like. So for these ones this morning I've got, let's have a little look where we are. Yeah, so I've got a little pile of bits and pieces here to show you. So aqua markers, can I colour in with them? Well, I had a little look. This is just on normal cardstock, regular cardstock. I've stamped an image and I've used archival because it's a waterproof permanent ink. So for something like that, something that's waterproof is what you need. Okay, and then you stamp your image and then you're ready to go. Now here you can see I've gone straight on with the watercolour pens. Go a little bit higher and see if you can see. It's quite bright, and the paper started, what you probably can't see is the paper started to bubble and then not really blending brilliantly. I don't think you'll see that effect quite on the camera at the minute. As a contrast, I've gone in with my alcohol markers at the top, and I think I get a much smoother, nicer blend with those. So if I'm doing just straightforward colouring in, I would probably reach for my alcohol markers, my pencils I can go over the top with, and if I'm going in with the watercolour ones, I might touch it up with a little bit of that, just if I've got the right colour, but I feel as if that's just bubbled and I can feel the surface, and it's not really the kind of pen I'd want to use for doing that kind of colouring in. So that was just one thought, but it's entirely up to you. You might find that you can use them like that quite happily. So the next one on this is watercolour paper. So the other thing to note about using aqua markers is you're better off using your proper paper. So again, you might not be able to see. I've gone straight on with the pens again. I've got a little bit better blend in brightness. The alcohol markers have gone on really nicely, but you'll find that when you're wanting to do a bit more playtime and actually use them the way they're meant to be used, you need the watercolour paper. So you're going to be able to blend and do some different techniques and get those effects that you want. And I think this looks a lot better than splodging it on just direct. You can see the difference from the two at the bottom, from those two at the bottom. Hopefully you can see this looks nicer to me, and it's on the correct card, and I've used the water to blend it out rather than it just leaving it direct. Okay, so watercolour card is your friend. Most of my watercolour card is what they call cold pressed, and I think that's what Dawn's is, and what the little sketchbooks are. It just means that when they've made it, they've done it at a cold temperature to press the fibres together. The ones that Dawn brings us are 100% cotton and handmade, so that's good quality. And they're a bit rougher on the surface, and you can then get the texture into your paintings and things as well. I think you might be able to see maybe a little bit of texture in there. Difficult to see on this camera, but it's absorbed into the paper quite well. With the hot pressed, that is created where they press the fibres together at a high temperature and high pressure, and you tend to get a smoother surface. Gives you a bit longer to play with the watercolour, apparently. I've not really used hot press. I've only ever really used the cold press. So I think it would just be a case of you seeing whatever you know was your preference. I'm not doing it as a professional watercolourist, so I'm quite happy with my cold pressed. And I'm not by any means a proper artist, so there's plenty of people out there that you could follow to get, you know, more tips. But let's have a little play here and see what we've done this morning, so you can actually see. Just checked, I've ordered the rainbow markers. So glad, because I love what you've shown so far. Thank you, Jackie. Every time the pens squeak, my dog thinks it's one of his toys. Oh, that squeak probably sounds louder on the camera than it does for me. So I'm going to go with my dahlia colours, and I think I've just picked out those three for my first bit of demonstration. And I'm going to get my watercolour brush again to use for this technique, and I probably will have a little go at just blending out the colours. I'm going to start by going on some of the petals all over. Oh, I'm going to just use the brush one because I like the brush one. Now that's next door's dog, you can hear, not my dog. So shortly the neighbour will take him in. That's Gino. I do believe it sounds bigger. It's not the little one. So I'm going over with the yellow to start with, and then I'm going to start going in with a bit of the red. So I'm going to pick this red up, and then I'm going to get my brush in and work fairly quickly into it, and then I'm going to use the brush to draw that colour out. So I've done that one, quite a really red colour. Yeah. If you just put a tiny little bit on, then you would be getting a bit less of the colour. So I'm just going to put a bit of the yellow in there, the orange in there. See, it's bleeding through to the other one. That's fine, because that other one was wet. I normally do one petal at a time, so I don't know why I've done three all at once. That's probably just because I'm on the live and I'm forgetting what I'm doing. So I'm going to go quickly and do those ones as well with the red. Get them out and blend them out, and I'm going to pop a little bit more yellow at the top and then just blend that over, because I've got a little bit of a line there, if you can see, and if I just swoosh over the water and blend them all in, those lines should just go. There we go. And the other thing with watercolour is to have patience, so you really want to be doing one petal at a time, and then just trying to use little bits of colour and drawing it out, and then if that's not enough, another little bit of colour and drawing it out. And if you leave it to dry in between, you might also get better effects. Hi Deb, thank you for joining us. No, it's not my house, but my back door's open. I'm in the conservatory. My back door's open so Albie can get in and out. And it's Albie's birthday today, so I feel like we should all say happy birthday to Albie. Bless him. He's, how old is he? He's either 13 or 14. Goodness. There we go. So I'm just having a lovely play, and I could sit and do this all day, colouring in with my markers. Doing these quite bright, hopefully you'll be able to see them on the camera a bit easier. Going in with a bit of a darker one near the centre, drawing it out with the brush. Lovely. Let that dry. Let's give it a little blast and see what it's like if I give it a little dry. So you can see what's happening a bit better. Happy birthday, Albie. Yeah, bless him. He's a good one. There you go. I haven't got his little present yet. I thought I'll go out later and see what little treats I can find him. And we'll take him on a nice walk. So I'm ending up with my petals all slightly different colours, but I'm quite enjoying that. And as I said, I could sit and do this all day, so I will stop with that. So there's a little bit of a mixture of putting it directly on and then drawing it out with your brush. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't know what else there is. I think that's basically one of them here on my little example. I've dried things in between, and then other times I've just done it as I've done it now and just laid it down. So I've had different effects, but I think you just need to go and play. And really you can even have such a little bit of the colour, and I don't know if you can see that it's going over into the other. I'm still able to move it for a little bit and get that little bit of a shade of pink behind there. But hopefully that's a good little tip. Yeah, I love colouring in, and I could sit colouring, and I can watch people colour in as well. So I'm just putting some of the yellow in the middle and bringing it out there. Put a little bit more orange in, because we've got that orange over there. Don't need to do it on all sides. There you go. So that's just a little bit of colouring. Now the other technique on here, I've done wet into wet. So I'll just get my brush to move a bit, get a bit of water going. There we go. So now I'm going to wet this. I've squirted it out onto the mat, a little bit of a blot there. And then I'm going to wet my petal. Okay. Let's have a go at a few different ways of like doing this, see what happens, because it is just play time. I'll go in with a bright colour, hopefully you'll be able to see. So I think it was that petal that was the wet one. Can't remember now. Looked away for a second. I could just pop a little bit of a dab there. Oh, well done, Joanne. Good job. And then I'm just going to let it flow into that water. Yeah, and just see again, I just want that to dry on its own, and then I'll go over with another layer. We'll come back, I'll do the next one along. I'll miss one out so they don't bleed into each other. Just do that again, pop it in, pop in a bit of yellow as well, just for fun, and then let it all bleed out into the leaf petal, sorry. Yeah, so I'm getting really subtle colours here now, and might not be able to see on the camera very well. I can directly go onto the mat again like we did before and use the mat as a palette. So I can pick up my ink from there and I can bring it on here. Now that's quite bright, and I can do the whole petal bright if I want to. I would let that dry and then I could do another layer. I could go in with the tiniest amount, clean my brush a little bit, and then draw it out, and it'll be a bit paler, so you can see, hardly see that colour on it there. I'm just force drying them a little bit for you, so hopefully you can see. So we can get lots of colour variations and layers on this. So that's what I like about this. I can get really pale, and then when I come back later I can think, oh, do you know what, I'd like a little bit more in there than I had before, and I'd like a little bit of a shadow up that side, so I'm going to pop a little bit there. I've still got a bit of water in that there, so it's reacting a little bit. There. And I would normally again let them dry and do it. So does that look all right? So that's just colouring, and I think the best thing to do is just, I've stamped loads of these little flowers. This is from the Stamperia Daisy collection. Stamped a load, and then I'm just sitting playing with them. So I've got loads here to do. What I am going to do now is, we need a one for our project that we're going to do our card making. So I need to get one actually finished. It's quite pale, the colours that I've chosen on here, but we'll have a go. and I'll see if I can whip that up fast. Fast is fast, because I don't know what time we are now. Joanne, you are so speedy. It takes me ages to do the typing up. I'm not very quick. So I've got some grey and some yellow, and I would like the paler pink. So they're my colours, grey, yellow and pink we're going to have for the minute. Got a dark grey and a light grey. So I'm going to start off with, let me just get my ready-made one so I don't forget what I did, because I have one ready to show you, and it's ready in case I there it is, I've got it, in case I forget what I'm doing. So I'm going to go in first of all just after midday, Angela. Okay, that's fine, we've got plenty of time. I'm going to go quite bright on the yellow here because I know it's not showing up as well on the camera. Pop it up there, hopefully you can see it if I go a bit higher, and then I'm just going to draw that out in the middle. So that's going to be the centre of the flower that we're going to use. Now daisies are white often with little hints of colour. I'm going to use the grey, very pale grey, because I just want to take that edge of, sorry, there's the squeaks again, your little dog's going to be at you. Take a bit off there, and I'm going to use the glass mat to paint with, so I just get a very pale kind of colour coming up. Now again, that's gone a little bit dark, so I'm going to take it off on my cloth, and then I'm going to get the water and just draw it out so you can barely see it. So we'll do all these petals in that same way, and if they're a bit dark, it doesn't matter, you can actually add water and take colour out as well with a cloth. I just want to get a little bit of a grey wash onto all my petals. So I'm going down there, and then I'm going to bring it out. So you really probably aren't even going to see much of a difference in the colours of the petal. I think you can from half of it. I'll just do half because I have got one ready for the project, but just wanted to show you so you can, hopefully you can just see very slightly a little bit of a change of colour from the white petal to a very pale grey petal. The next colour that I'm going to do is I'm going to touch into those wet petals already, a little bit of yellow at the inside for my little daisies. Draw that out a little bit, but not a lot. And then I'm going to go around the edges again with some, not on every single one, just going to go at the edges with a little bit of the yellow. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a draw out again with the water on the tips on those ones. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of pink. So I'm doing a very subtle daisy here for my project today. You can do it as bright or as pale as you like. And then I'm actually just going to go in with a little bit of the pink as well. There we go. And just bring that colour down. So you're very subtly getting some little pink and yellow bits at the tips. Probably would be nice to have a little bit of random pink down there as well, just to colour it in. So there you go. So that's my daisy, and it doesn't look like much of anything. Oh, hang on a second. Let's give it a little dry, and then we'll put a bit of shadow in it. I'm just doing a quick dry, and then I'm going for the darker grey to do my shadow in a bit more. I'll use the finer end. So I want to do detail. I'm going to put a bit of shadow at the base of the petal and then coming up the side. And then I'll just give it a smidge of water, but not much. That's why I like these pens, because you do just get that little bit of water release. There's not puddling unless I squeeze it. There's not really any puddling happening. You might be able to see the definition better there on the petal then that I'm doing. This one's a bit hidden behind, so it's going to have a bit more grey on it. There we go. So hopefully you get the idea there with a darker grey. That's why I like the greys, because you can get your shadows and all that in. I'm just creating that shadow on each petal. So again, I won't go all the way around because I have got one ready when we do the card, but that's what we needed for the card as well. Is that all right? Hopefully you can see that. I'll lift it up again, just a second, just dropping my a heat gun off my knee. There we go. Can we see that all right? So just keep going round with your shadows and with your little bits of colour. It's very, very pale. Oh, hang on a second, let me go away a bit. Can't see anything. Catch up video. See if I've gone the right way. There it is. It's coming. And up a bit. Very, very subtle for my daisy, but the daisies are quite subtle. And as the water dries from the card, it will go quite pale. It will go even paler. So you might then think, oh, I do need to go back in again. And you can revisit it and add another little bit of layer of colour if you want to. But hopefully you can see that all right on there now. So lovely. Brilliant. So that's the little flower that we're going to need for our card. Got some more there that I've done. So I'll just put those over to the side again. I'll leave the flowers in case we need any more techniques shown. There. Pop those out the way. Right, I'm just going to consult my little list. So the next project is colour, no, we've done colour splodges, a bit of stamping. So we did the stamping and we did the colouring in different ways. And then the next one was using a heat embossed stamped image as a resist. So here we go. So I told you a bit earlier that I'd show you my little project that I've made with the background that we did before with the wash, and this is used embossing powder. I've made the embossed image and then I've gone over the top with the wash, and the embossed part will resist. Yeah, so I think that's a really lovely effective technique. For that you just need your watermark, something like Versamark, something like that you're going to stamp your image with, and some kind of embossing powder. Dawn did sell us quite a few, so there's a little bit of blue which I had in my stash. That's what I've used. So I've stamped the image onto my watercolour card. Don't forget your watercolour card because that's what you're going to do. And then I have heat embossed it with the heat gun. And Dawn has got some new heat guns in stock at the moment, she said. So they're £12.99 on the website. And then we can do our wash over the top again. So we can just quickly do maybe the sky part. Get ready, puppy dogs. Here's all the colours come in. And all the... We'll just do the top ones. And I can finish it off. Get my wide brush again, and I would like I'd like a good splodge of water here. Get my wet brush in, pick up my blue, swoosh it across, get the purple in, get a bit wet again because my pink's disappeared. Pink over there. Green and yellow we've missed out. I'll put a bit of orange down there as well, that'd be nice. Sorry puppies, if you can hear a snoring, it's actually I'll be sat underneath me here having a little snore. Blend them all out. Bit of yellow on there, and then I would probably need a bit of green. I haven't done that. Green at the bottom for the flowers. Probably would like a darker green on there actually. It's a bit pale, but I'll come in with that later. Anyway, so you get the idea of that. So that was our swooshing, and all I've done then afterwards is I've splattered it with a little bit of water to lift some of the ink off, which I'm sure you've all done before. I'll just use the bit out of here. Just tap some water on there and then just leave it, and you can see that water will start to lift. It's a good paper because I don't even need to dab it with anything. You can see the splatters coming in as we speak. Hopefully that's okay. Need to be here in line with my glue. There you go. And when you're happy with your splodges, you would then just dab with your paper towel or trusty rag. There we go. So that was the resisting with a heat embossing tool. I haven't showed you how to do the heat embossing. If you want to do that as a live another time, I can, if people don't know how to do it, but it's a technique that's been around forever and a day. So I just thought that was a really good way to make a lovely topper for your cards. Yep. And also with that same technique, I've done another one there, and to make it nice and easy, this one I'm just going to do my splodges again, so you don't have to think about your colouring in. You want to just do some splodging. There we go, and that's a nice daisy, all coloured in, ready for you to go cut out or mount up. And that will also need to sit and dry. Okay, so I did that with this one, and I went back in and I did some around the edge, and I did a bit more different colour in the middle, and that's a bit of a darker sort of colour palette, but that's the one I've done as a little topper ready with that technique. So I'm going to take that out to the side and leave that to dry. Again, got a couple of little drying projects, make my area dry for the next part. Phew! So hopefully I'm trying to get through all the different techniques that I've got. If I'm going too fast, let me know. If I'm going too slow, let me know. I've tried to be really organised, so I've got it all written down to follow what I'm doing, and I don't miss any of the techniques out then. So my next technique, we've done heat embossing, stamped image, and use it as a resist. The next one is colouring direct onto the stamp and using it to print. So let's get a little bit of the watercolour card again. So this time I've got a little stamp here that is a little butterfly on a block, and we'll colour this in. This has got some fairly nice raised up areas, so I can colour the middle like that. I think I can hear the postie, but I'm not going to go. I've left the porch door open, so hopefully they'll bring it in, and I'm just colouring directly onto my stamp, as you can see, with a blue and a purple. Yep, pop it over there. I know you'll be able to see it if I've got it roughly there. Yep, so that's that, and then we're going to give it a little spray. Whoop, 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 whoop. And then I'm going to pop it over onto the watercolour, and I'm just going to hold it down. I'm going to give it a little bit of time for the colour to absorb into the paper. There we go. Thank you, Linda. Hopefully there's a few tips, or just give it a go. I'm not a watercolourist by any means. I get a bit frightened of actual watercolour painting. I'm trying to do a little bit, but I did that last night with the watercolour markers, and I'm feeling quite pleased with myself. So give it a go, I think, is the mean. So I've let that dry for a bit, not dry, just let it soak in for a bit, and then I can lift it out, and there's the stamp. So there's a little bit there that you can see has missed ever so slightly, but you can then just, if you want it to be joined together, you can either leave it like that as a bit more abstract, or you can just draw some of the colour in to join up the bits there. So that's a really quite a cute little stamped image, so you can use them to stamp as well, and I thought that was quite a nice stamp to use for it. Now again, we need a stamped image for our next project. I'm just going to do it again on another bit because I don't want to waste, and see what the second generation looks like. Give it a bit of time to go in. Oh, lovely. Very pretty. So I think we've done quite well there. And then I'll maybe just clean the stamp off on that to get a little bit of a background that I can use later as well. So I think they're quite effective really, aren't they? Lovely. So that's stamping with that. And again, for the little project that we're about to make, we need a little stamped image. Oh, these are the ones I made earlier. So I did a little blue one earlier, and we've done this earlier. So we're going to do it with the daisy from Stamperia. And I'm going to just pop them up there a little bit. I'm sure they'll dry before too long. I'm popping them on top of each other, so I'll put them behind on my table. And for my project, I'm going to be doing it on here. I'm just going to have a little practice run on another bit of card just to make sure I get it right with the colours, but it's actually fine. So the stamps that I've used today are from the Stamperia Daisy Art collection, which is lovely. Dawn said she would have to order anything in from the Daisy Art collection. I've got some papers and the stamps that I've used in the project. It's a really nice stamp set actually. I'll just pull it out for you to see on there. 2 seconds so you can see them. It's got some lovely bits and pieces in there. I don't know if the stamp's available, but if you want it, I think you'll need to contact Dawn and just see if she can get it. So you can see here I've used, when I did this resist with the embossing powder, I've used the floral strip from the bottom, and then I've used a butterfly from here to stamp above the flowers. So it's really quite a lovely set. And then of course I've used the big daisy as my focus for the project that we're going to make. So I'm just going to pop that to the side. I don't need it at the minute. So I've got it ready on the block. Aiming for something a bit like that. So I'm going to colour in directly on the block again with the yellow all around the centre. There's all the squeals. I think it's going to be quite bright, this one. And then I'm going to go in with the pink. And this one's got sort of like, it's raised up. So if you saw, the butterfly had wider strips that you could put your colour onto. Just do it on there, you can see. Quite wide strips. So that gave us quite a nice image. This one, it's a bit more like little lines. So I'm just going to sort of colour on them roughly, hope that it will come out all right. It's getting not too much water and not too little water is the thing. I'm just going to squirt it over Albie, bless him, and then we'll pop it on the card, stamp over and hold it in place. Are you using watercolour cardstock? I absolutely am, Deb. Yes, I would recommend when you're using the aqua markers that you use watercolour cardstock, so you can get better effects. It's not going to really react the same on the normal paper, and sometimes because you're using water on normal paper, you then get it takes the pulp out and you get bobbling, and you can tear the paper. So really think about using watercolour cardstock. And I've got some links to pop in the chat before we finish. Dawn had some lovely watercolour sketchbooks on her live last night, so you can go back and see those, and she's got them on a really good deal at the minute. So yeah, thought you were just wanting to check. Thanks, that's great. And then there we go. So that's quite good, quite like that. It's quite bright and jolly. I'm going to do a second generation down here, and on this little bit of paper I want to do it just on half. So I'm going to do it down the bottom corner, and I'm just going to go to half. There we go. See whether that's bright enough for the effect I'm wanting. Yeah, that's perfect. So the second generation is actually what I would like to use for my card. And that's come out really nicely. So I've got more puddling on that one, but it's still lovely. And then that's a little bit crisper. So just have a little experiment with it. Depends on how much water you've added. That seems to be the crucial thing as to how it's going to come out. So have a little play. So we're going to keep this one for our project, for the card that we're going to make. Pop that over there. And the only other thing I've done with this card that we're going to use in the background is I have popped a bit of the colour on my block, give it a little spritz, and then I've just done a few little light smattering in the background just to give me a little bit of a nice yellow background, and that's it. So I'll show you that, lift it up a little bit, that'll just leave that to dry. And this is the background for our card that we're going to do today. So pop these ones out the way. Any questions before I go on to the next part, which is the card making? I do believe. Yep, card making. I'm going to show you what we're going to make. And I should have spares of everything ready and made. I'm going to pop that to the side to let it dry in case we need it, in case I don't find the one I've already made earlier. And this is the card that I thought we'd make today. So on this I've used daisy paper. That's my coloured in daisy image that we did earlier. Put some shadowing and grey and browns in there, tipped with pink and yellow. I've done the inside with the little bit of yellow splatter, and I have part stamped in the bottom corner a daisy that we've also just done. And then it's a fun fold decorated with daisy stamperia paper. So that's what I'm actually going to make now. That is your little takeaway project that I'd like you to give a go. And it's quite straightforward actually once you get going. I did it a few times just to have a play with it. But it's quite a nice effective little card fold. So let's get on with that. Any questions please ask in the chat. Now what we have, I'm going to get all my bits and pieces out. I'm not going to get them all out straight away. Let me get the bits of paper out. Got my instructions so I wouldn't forget, which I will pop in for you in the in another chat. And I've got the card. So the card I've used from the Spring Wings that I was using for my little books, my little I can't remember what you call them. Anyway, I've used it on previous collections. I think on my very first video that I did. So I've cut out from that designer pad the background, and I've used an A4 piece. It's just involved cutting a strip down the side, keep that strip, and that is 7 inches across that way. And then this side it is 8 1/4. And again, I've kept the bits that have come off so I can use them in the card and not waste anything. And then this is the piece that we're going to fold and we're going to score. Okay, so let me just think what I'm doing. Get my scoreboard out. I don't want to make a mistake on this, so let's have a little go and hopefully do it right. So I am going to fold in that way to make it the same. So I'm going to turn it over because I want to have this on my outside of my card. Double-sided, it won't be so bad, and you can do it any way you want. So I'm turning it over and I've got the 7 inches across the top, and I'm going to score down at 2 3/4 inches. 1, 2, 2 1/2, 2 3/4. I'm going to score down all the way down that side. Okay, lovely. Now I want my next score, because I want my square to be in this top corner of the card up here. Then I want my next score line. You can see that's the score line that I've just done down there. I'm going to do the next score line across. So I'm going to turn it 90 degrees that way. And again, I want the same 2 3/4 score coming down that way. And there we go. So if I should turn it round, it might be able to see very well, but I have scored down there and across there. And that's going to form the card base. All right, next we have to form this little triangle in the corner. Now when the one I saw on Facebook or YouTube, wherever it was that I spotted it, did give measurements, but I found when I was folding it, that was just a little bit tricky. So I actually discovered that the easiest way for me to do it was just to try and fold. So I'm going to come over, and I can see here my fold line on that side, and I want it to match up with this fold here, so they go together. And on this side again, I want that fold to match up with that, and the fold will then hopefully cross the very corner of the card. So fold it over. That's just split today. I don't know why that is. It hasn't split any of the other times I've done it. Maybe I just was a bit heavy-handed on me scoring. Please ignore that. It didn't do that before. But there you go. If you do want the measurements, the way that that you do it is you will come in 1.5 inches and make a mark there. Come up 2 3/4 inches, make a mark there, and then your score line should go directly from those 2 points through the middle of your square corner. Hopefully that makes sense. It's not as hard as it seems once you have got it in front of you. Then I'm going to fold in here, and I'm going to fold out there. Okay, and I'm going to fold that one down. A little bit of origami. Then I'm going to fold that one in. I'm going to fold that one out, and then hopefully bring this in here. I'm very disappointed that my card has actually split. So I'm going to get another one. I'm not happy with that today. I'll just go with the yellow. I know my colours are going to go with the yellow. Don't like it. I'm going to do it again. Right, so get my there, because it's only 130 GSM. I'm knocking things down. 170 GSM. It's quite a light card, so that might be why I've had the problem there with just overscoring it a bit much. So I'm cutting off at 7, keeping my little waist, and cutting off again at 8 1/4 tall. It's quite quick. There we go. So I'm just going to be really gentle on my folding now. Doesn't matter which way around that is. That'd be good. So we go there, and 2 3/4. I'm just going to lightly go down. Don't want that to happen again. Turn through 90 degrees. 2 3/4 lightly score down because it's a very light card. And then fold it. Ready. Over there. Ooh, made that one so light that I'm not getting my fold in. Okay. And there. Hopefully it'll be alright. And then I'm going to come over. Let's measure that. So it was, if I do the measuring just to make sure I'm in the right spot, flip my instructions over 1.5 from this side. So that's 1.5. I want to go to there, and then up here I want to go to 2 3/4. I want to go to there. So then I'm going to be on that line. I'm not sure whether I'm in the right place or not. Roughly that. Let's have a go, see if it'll fold over. Lovely. And I'm lining up my things there, lining up my things there. That's better. And we haven't had an accident this time with it breaking. I just over scored it on thin paper. So again, just bring that one in, bring that one in there. Sorry, my brain's just going again. Fold here, and that out there, and fold that one in. So I want to fold that one in as well. Sorry guys, honestly, this just, it was so easy when I was not on a live, and now I'm on a live. It's going to just be a nightmare, isn't it? going to cause me problems and it's not going to play. I really do need to do the measurements better. That's it. And that's it. Let's go with that. I'm okay with that for now. There. Ta-da! Sorry guys, it is light, a light GM. I was using a thicker GM earlier on. Gosh. Yeah, I might have stuck it on actually to a card base. That is probably what I've done. I have a feeling I have. And my feeling is that I've actually stuck it on my card base and then done it, because I can't remember. So yeah, that's it. So I would stick it on to the card base and go. Right, we'll do that. I'm going to just go for it. I'll make it all up later, just to give it a little bit, because it's a light card. Honestly, I thought I was so prepared today. There's always going to be something that doesn't go quite to plan, isn't there? There's always going to be something I don't do quite right. I'll be all right, because I'll remind myself how to do the card later and pretend that I haven't just stuck down over the top of my instruction sheet. But I have, but that's fine. There we go. Diddly-dee. Pull that in, pull that in. There. Ta-da! Done. Okie dokie. Just pretend I haven't done that, because this is obviously not then going to be a very nice sheet. I don't think I did actually. Do you know what? Take it off before I spoil it. And go back to what I was doing. Have faith in what you're doing, Angela. You did it all before and it was all fine. So on the inside, we're going to stick our card on there. This is what's going to give it a little bit of substance, is actually the cards. Honestly, do you know, if I didn't do something wrong or get a bit flustered, it wouldn't be alive, would it? I am fairly new to this, so I'm allowed to just be a little bit wibbly wobbly. But you know what? It's nice. So just stick with what I was doing and don't doubt myself. That's the thing. So that's going to give it a little bit of substance on there, on the corner. Take these bits away for now. We're keeping all of these bits, don't forget. And I have already got little bits and pieces ready. So I've got that one for this card. I've got that ready. Let me get all my little bits out so I can help. We can do them. Just dropping things onto poor little Albie while he sat down there. So hopefully I've cut everything out ready so it'll make it a bit quicker and easier to do the sticking. So I've picked some lovely, lovely daisy paper to use from Stamperia. Lovely, lovely. This is double-sided. So when you get your single-sided, you might feel happier about chopping in the corners. But I've just taken a piece and it is 2.5 by 2.5. All right, I've even written on there, glue this side, so that I wouldn't do the wrong gluing. And I'm going to pop that onto there. Don't like that little white bit showing. However, I shall remedy that by inking it up, no doubt later. And once I've stuck everything on, we'll be clear. So it's going to go on there. Because I've put glue on the backs now, I'm going to have to be quick as a flash. Otherwise it's all going to stick. Put that onto there. There we go. Lovely. Now for the outside bits, I have cut a piece here that's matted in to that size. Yeah, and then I have folded over the corner to make it fit in there. Yep, so hopefully that's straightforward for you to do at home. Just cut that off so that I'm not wasting anything. You are doing okay, Angela. Thank you, Margaret. I need my little bit of reassurance so I don't get too stressed. But I know I wanted you to have a card that was completed today as well, rather than just showing you all the techniques. I thought you'd probably quite enjoy a bit of card making as well. And then the same again on this side. I have cut my mat and layering piece out to fit, just popping in about 1/4 of an inch there, and then I folded it over so that it would go into the nice shape for that, nice and straightforward. And then I'm going to, is it that way or is it that way? Yeah, it's that way because it won't fold otherwise. I have already got it ready. Oh my gosh, I can't see my fold line. It's fine. There we go. We'll stick that one on there. Whoops. And hello to anybody who watches on catch up. Thank you for taking the time out to watch. We're just making a little card, as you can see, and incorporating some of the elements that we've used. Right, now on the inside, I've left those two on that bit, you can see. On the inside, I just wanted to take the bareness off here. So I should have a plain piece again here, which is again 2.5 by 2.5. So I'm going to stick that in there. I'll do all the measurements on a separate post for you. And we'll pop that one on there. So because it's a thin paper, all these little layers will give it the substance really. I've got 2 papers there. I've got that one to go. And then I need 2 more triangles. Where are my triangles? Pick them all up. Now these are the bits from the other one that I kept, and that's how I've cut these. I've used those as cut-offs to make the inside elements there that you can see. So that's why we didn't want to throw away any of those pieces. And I don't know if I have got my other triangle. There it is on the table. So I've made 2 triangles in the same way as I did before, just measuring the rectangle and then cutting the corner off. So I did a 2.5 by 2.5 square, and then I cut across the diagonal to cut it in half as a triangle, and that goes on there and lines up. And then this one again, this is the other half of it, my 2.5 square. I just made another one of those, and then that will go in there, and it's just to finish off the inside. And then with these strips, again, I've cut the length of the middle. I didn't want to waste my offcuts, so I didn't want to cut another card to get the full part, and I just thought, you know, I only want it as a little bit of decoration, so I am just going to use this, and I've just curled it over there and put a single layer down. So that's your strip that you had left at the beginning from cutting your 7 inches. There we go. Do you know, thank you, Joanne. I think when I'm doing them at home on my own, I'm thinking, oh, this is not that complicated really. It'll all be fine. It'll all go to plan. I wrote everything down. But I think, yeah, when you're on the live, your brain is not quite in the same zone as it was when I was just sitting doing it on my own at home. Basically then I've just put those on the inside to decorate it. And that is basically it. All right. And you can see my little bit peeping out there. And I'm going to stick that flower on. Now, I think probably I need a little bit of colour down the edge here and here, because I can see the white there. So we're going to use our pens again. And I know this is not watercolour paper underneath, but I'm just going to use a very tiny bit and hope for the best, just to give it a little edge on there. If I don't use too much water, I should get away with it on that cardstock, just so when I close it, it's not looking quite so bright. And I'm also going to pop it on this inside bit here, because that is where I haven't quite folded it quite right. So I'm going to go all the way around all the edge, and then hopefully any bits that I haven't quite folded right and is now showing will actually be a nice yellow. You could of course use your inks, your ink pads, a nice yellow ink pad, which I haven't got handy at the minute, so I am going to use the Aqua Markers, and if I just have a tiny bit of water, that's good. There you go. So I've just gone round the outside with the Aqua Marker and a bit of yellow, and then when I fold it in, that's better, just takes that little bit of starkness off it. Probably needs to be a bit orangier, so I might go back in again later. And then the final element is the flower. We're going to go into the paper pad. That's the one I used. I think I cut the edges off it and used that for the squares. And I've got lots of little bits left. So again, I'm not going to throw anything out because they will come in nicely for the little sort of ATCs and toppers that I like to make, or tags. So I'm not going to throw any of those away. Let's put those to the side. And then the only thing I need here is a little tag. If I can get into it. Lovely, well done. Thank you, Deb. I'm managing. Love the card. Going to try it. Oh, thank you. There's only a few more things to show you, which I don't actually have to do the techniques for. I can just show you. So this pad has also got some nice little tags. So I'm going to just randomly chop one out because I don't know why I didn't have one ready, but I didn't. Pop that there. And we'll cut this one out quickly. There we go. Chippity choppity chippity chop. I'm not going to stress about this because hopefully everybody will be hungry now, be wanting to go and get their dinner. And I think 1 o'clock is also Leonie on her live, and people might like to go and see Leonie. So we've got that, and my sentiment has gone. Walkabouts, that was on the table ready. There it is, hiding under there. So I've got this little mini sentiment there to use. Let's just stick it in that yellow that I've got there, because then it'll just be a little bit more yellow. And I'm going to just give it a little bibbidi boppity ribbon on the edge. And then it's going to all come together. So let me stick the flower in with my all these to the side that I'm not using anymore. You can see what we're doing. Oh, we'll use my foam pad. Diddly dee. Where are you? Stick a foam pad on there. Stick the flower on wherever we want it to be. I think I'm going to go that way. What's that? And that was actually the one that I prepared earlier, which is a bit more paler tone. So that was the one that was going to go in. I just made a little bit of a lighter one. Then I'll pop a bit of glue on here and on here. Tuck that in and tuck that in. So let's go, and then that's it. Oh, success! We have done it. We have made a card. Actually, we've also made quite a lot of little toppers today. You'll see. And just pop a little bit of glue on that one. And pop a little bit there. I just want that one tucked in and sticking out that way. Okay, so there. Hey presto, we have made a card. Success, success. There we go. So on that one I put good friends with a little tab. I just had that somewhere. I don't know where I got that from. But there you go. Lovely. They're really nice cards. And just, it is actually, honestly, it is a fun fold that's not too hard to do once you get going. I've probably made the folding bit look harder than it is. It isn't, but I will put the measurements in the post for you later on. And we've used our aqua markers to do some colouring in, and to do some stamping and some splattering. So they've come out really well. I'm really pleased with those. So pop that up there. Time check, 1 o'clock. Right, we need to try and get finished. I don't want to be on too long for everybody. So I'm going to show you the next bits and pieces that I've got, which probably won't involve a demo, but we'll just explain. I shall show you a little bit. So the next thing that you can do, I think this is nearly finished, guys, do not worry, is a random embossing folder, and you can colour in onto the embossing folder, whichever side you like. Just get your markers, colour along, and again, this is just going to be a case of playing and seeing what you like about the image, whether you like the deboss side or whether you like the embossed side. So you can do the colouring in on either sides and just go crazy with that. Pop your markers in, and then we're simply going to get our spritzer, squirt on there again to activate it, put my bit of watercolour card inside, close it up. Now at this stage, because you're going to put it through your die cutting machine, if you don't want to have too much mess, you could pop a little bit of kitchen roll round and then pop it through your die cut machine. Okay, I find that you've got to have your kitchen roll ready, because when you do come out, there'll probably be a bit of leakage and there'll be a little bit of clean up to do, but it doesn't go on my die cut machine, it just goes on the papers, and then you'll be able to come out and you'll have created this kind of image. So that's on one of the sides and the other, so you can see a bit more where the emboss is pushed up there, and on that side where it's gone in. I think that's the deboss side. Yeah, so you get two different effects. So that's a really nice thing to do as well. I wanted to show you that, but I didn't need to demonstrate it. And again, I've done it again with another little floral image, and that's one side and the other, just to show you the different effects. And I think that makes a really lovely background. And I'll show you how I've used it in a card. So here I've just mounted some of those little bits up onto some nice paper, and I've got a sentiment that I've used some of the offcuts of my background splodges to make a sentiment. Where's my other sentiment? Oh, they're all stuck on the back. There we go. We have a fabulous and we have an amazing. Fabulous looks nice on there. And then this one I've made an amazing. Yeah, so you can use your cutouts of your background images to cut out sentiments. Also cut out flowers and bits and pieces to use your die cuts. I haven't got those ready prepared today, but it's another good thing. Dawn's got those lovely Provençal, you know, the jam jar with the flowers. Cut some of those flowers out of your background images and then use those to layer up. And this one is one I've made using that background from my embossing folder. I've cut out a sentiment, and then these are using some of Dawn's little floral elements. Now she's only got one bag of her foliage and flowers, a card maker kit, which is £8. She's got one of those bags left, but she's got some lovely flowers that she showed last night on the live. I'm going to put those into the comments at the end before I turn it off. Hopefully I'll put them in on my phone. And you can have a look and see if there's anything that you want. It'll all be on one of my posts that you can then show Dawn. So that's another one that we've done. Now the last one I want to show you, this is the final thing, so stay with me just for a few more minutes. I've used die cuts again in a different way. So these are some of Dawn's Oriental ones that I've been cutting out. So I used some black cardstock to cut these out. I can get them all ready. So I've got nice silhouette images. So any of the dies that you've got that you could use as a silhouette image, get them out. That one I've done a drop shadow with a bit of silver as well. And then I've also cut out some of these lovely lanterns. So I'm going to show you what I wanted to use those for. And it's going to go back to our big splodgy image that we made at the start. We didn't make, I did make you one, hang on. We made that purple one. Yeah, and that's one I had earlier. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing with this. I'm going to keep it sideways here for the first one. I've made a black frame to put over the top, which I can stick on with foam pads. And then I'm just going to place some of the die cut elements over for you to see the effect over the top of your lovely background that you've made. And I think these will make fantastic bigger cards or projects. There you go. So that's one idea with the lanterns. Take them away. And the next one, I've turned it sideways and I've made it a bit like you know, the sky up the top, and I thought the crane would look fabulous in there as well. It could be flying slightly out of the frame like that, and then you've got room at the bottom if you wanted to pop an image, a sentiment, which I've cut out some little bits here, but they've disappeared. There we go. That would be a happy birthday one, which I would double layer up. There's a, yeah, so you get the idea. So use your die cuts in the background to go over the top. There you go. You could even have our little, you know, that image is nice as well, over the top there. And the dragon. So get some of your nice images and just have a little experiment with what you can put onto your backgrounds and create some lovely projects. I think that crane's fabulous. So I'll make these up into some cards and pop them on the page later. I've cut out just little bits of shapes as well for sentiments today, which I've just used the, you know, the bits of offcuts there and the nice papers. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea with die cuts, cutting out sentiments, flowers, using silhouette images over the top. And I'm just going to check my little crib sheet and see if there's anything else I've got. That's it. And the last bit was to show all the makes and things that we've done so far. And then that would be it finished. Oh, done it. Well done me. So I'm going to go back up here and we'll just have a run through of everything we've done today. Let me get a bit of card in the background just so it looks a bit more professional. So that is my little watercolour image that I did. I haven't had a chance to show you how I did that. Maybe I could do a little mini video. I'm really pleased with that. I'm not a watercolourist and look what I've made out of watercolour markers. I think that's lovely. I'm very proud of myself. That was the little quick tag that we made at the start. This one is the using the embossing folders and colouring in up with the alcohol, with the aqua markers onto it, and then running it through the embossing machine, using florals to decorate it. This is our card that we made. These are using embossed images for resist and stamping over the images as well that we've made. So hopefully you can see all of those. I think that's everything we've done today that I wanted to show you. And of course we did the die cut over the splodgy image as well. Gosh, that one. Excuse the unmade sentiment. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that today, and hopefully you'll give those aqua markers a go. Now I am going to finish the live, but before I do, I'm going to just go into my phone and paste the things that we've got in stock for Dawn, or things that you can order. So I'm still here. I'll say my goodbyes to everybody as well. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Sarah, Karen, Margaret. Oh, I didn't see you were there, Karen, I don't think. Thank you for joining us. Linda. Joanne, Jackie, Linda Piper. I think I've got everybody there who's joined in. Can't see anymore. Anybody who's watching but hasn't commented, hello, thank you for joining us. And also thank you very much to anybody who's watching on catch up. And I hope you enjoy that little live that we've done this morning. And I'm going to come off my phone, but my camera is still going to play because I don't want to lose the comments while I just pop in my list. Here it is, and I'm going to select all, copy, and go back into Facebook, go into the comments. Hopefully I can comment on my own thing, write a comment, paste, right, that's quite a big one. So hopefully you can see there on my comment I've just popped in the things that we've got. I've numbered them, so if you want to order anything, you could message Dawn directly through with that list. You've got the Aqua Markers, £6.99 number 1, the watercolour cardstock sketchbook offer that Dawn had on last night, Dawn Baby Glue, the water brushes, the spritzer bottles and the spray, Stamperia Daisy collection would be to order. Anything that needs to order, Dawn said, takes sort of 7 to 10 days. Give a couple of weeks just in case. Linen cardstocks, which I've used in the tag, that's going to be on Dawn's live tomorrow. Black cardstock for doing your silhouettes and your card bases, that is on there, number 8. Spellbinders 2-in-1, I didn't show, but this is what I used when I was to get all the bits out of my dies. So that's quite a useful little tool as well. That's on. Dawn's had that recently. I've also got anti-static pouch, and that's in stock. That's what I used when I was making sure that I didn't have any bits on when I'm embossing. And the heat gun Dawn's got on. She's got some new ones in stock for £12.99. The flower packs, and then all the offers from last night. I've given the lot numbers for last night as well. So anything you want, please message Dawn and tell your friends to come along and watch my live if you can. I would really appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully it's not too late for you to go and get some lunch now. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. Thank you. See you next week, hopefully. Oh, I'm going to stand up and turn off. Okie dokie. Bye.